Well, an honest answer would be, it would be very difficult, if possible. But that's really not a case for jokes. I'll start by saying the obvious, that we have found ourselves in a very, very difficult situation, and a situation not anticipated. As far as Greece is concerned and the region is concerned, we are facing a war in our northeast, a war in our southeast, a totally destabilized Northern Africa, and speaking especially about the Sahel region, two failed states, one Libya, one Syria, a very awkward situation by a non-state actor which threatens the freedom of navigation in the North Indian Ocean and the Red Sea. I'm speaking about the Houthis, and an overall situation in which humanity goes back to a level of violence that we hoped we have left behind when we entered the 21st century. I think that's a rather accurate description.
That's all. That's the only thing you have to deal with. That's little list.
No, there's some more. For example, the Western Balkans situation, which is far from ideal. We have hoped for a much faster convergence toward the European acquis and membership of the European Union. And of course, the internal political situation in most of the Western democracies is a challenging one, again, to put it mildly. So that's the overall situation that we're facing. Now, if one would start answering on how I propose to address all these issues, one has to deal with them separately. Ukraine, I think, Minister Kuleba spoke very eloquently. They're fighting an existential fight for the last 2 years. It is a miracle that they have survived the Russian invasion. Please scratch your memories. Remember how we felt the first 24 hours after the Russian invasion. Almost nobody would have believed that Ukraine would have been able to stand its own and even gain back territory the last 2 years. If now we're speaking about threats in the Eastern Mediterranean and Gaza, and the overall situation between Israel and the Palestinians, again, I have to say that this is something we have to address as a big challenge. It's not something that has to do with just Israel or the Palestinians. It's much bigger than that. But of course, nobody should ever, ever forget what has happened in the 7th of October. Another challenge that has been rather overlooked is the situation in the Sahel. I have to say that I'm always saying that from Brussels, maybe Niger or Mali or Chad looks very far away and not very threatening. But there is a big but. And I'll go back to history. For Europe to be safe and secure, the situation in North Africa, and that includes necessarily the Sahel, has to be safe and secure. And please remember one historical example, and I will bring a second one more recent. Why was the Roman Empire always fighting for control of Northern Africa? Why Scipio, the African, went to North Africa? Why was the Carthago delenda est something we have all learned when we learn Roman history? It is clear that for the security of Europe, control and security of North Africa is essential. But we have a much more recent example. Before D-Day, before Operation Overlord, it was Operation Torch. The Allies first invaded North Africa before they felt secure to go to Normandy and liberate Europe. So, to cut a long story short, we have to address all these huge challenges simultaneously. I will go back to the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean in the continuation of our discussion. I'm going there this Saturday with High Representative Borrell to look at Operation Aspides and the Greek ship and the Greek frigate that is leading that operation. But our challenge now is to deal with all these threats simultaneously. Easier said than done.